When it comes to getting healthy, fixing your lab work is one of the most important things that you can do. But labs are complicated. So today I'm going to tell you the 7 labs that if you fix, you'll see the biggest difference in your all-around health, your metabolism, and all of your results. So to start really simply, let's talk about those labs. So first and foremost, we have vitamin D, we have your triglycerides, we have your hemoglobin A1C, we have your HDL cholesterol, we have your free testosterone, we have your TSH, and we have your vitamin B12. There are lots of other labs that are super important, but I can tell you from someone that sees lab work every day that these are the 7 that will impact your long-term health and all of your goals more than anything. So let's start with vitamin D. Vitamin D is at the top of my list for a reason. I truly believe this to be the most important and actually the easiest lab to fix. You'll see the biggest differential if you fix this single lab. So why is vitamin D important? Vitamin D is super important because vitamin D is actually one of the few vitamins that's not actually a vitamin, it's a hormone. And hormones are absolutely crucial for sending messages between cells. So if you have a lack of vitamin D, the first thing you're gonna notice is that you're gonna have a lot lower immunity. Your energy levels are gonna be super low. You're gonna be waking up tired, lethargic, you're gonna be crashing in the middle of the day. Your mood is gonna be off. People with optimal vitamin D levels are in a much better mood. They're much more calm. They tend to be a lot happier. And it's super crucial for building muscle and for healthy bones. So that's why we need to solve this. And when it comes to food and lifestyle, there really is only one option: sun exposure. If you want to get optimal vitamin D levels from natural sources, you got to get out in the sun. Sometime between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. is usually the best time to get sun exposure. But if you live somewhere above the halfway point of the country, you're likely not going to get a lot of vitamin D from the sun just because of the angle of the sun through the atmosphere. So really you are going to have to focus on supplementation. And when we talk about supplementation, when it comes to vitamin D, it really is just as simple as taking vitamin D. But when you're taking vitamin D, one of the things that we like to do as a safeguard is to pair it with K2. If you take too much vitamin D, sometimes it can affect your calcium in your body. So if you take K2, it's going to help balance that out and it's going to help you have a much better result. If your vitamin D levels are super, super low though, I would actually recommend starting with a dose up to 10,000, even 20,000 for the first few weeks just to really ramp up your vitamin D levels. It won't hurt you. This is a vitamin that's going to build up in your system. The first day you take it, you're not going to notice a massive difference. But over weeks and getting that right in the right range, it'll fix itself up and you'll see huge differences. And also worth noting about vitamin D, this is not a lab that you want to see above the range. You don't want to get this too high. You really want to leave this in a spot where it's right in the middle of the healthy range, somewhere between 60 and 70 would probably be the most optimal range for vitamin D on your labs. When we talk about triglycerides, these are so crucial. So triglycerides are how our body stores fat. So all the fat on your body is triglycerides. It's just the form our body stores it in. But the triglycerides you see on a lab panel are going to be the fat that's in your blood. And this is super, super bad. Not only is it going to cause insulin resistance, it's going to cause massive amount of inflammation, and it increases your rate of heart disease significantly. Stroke, heart disease, and all sorts of other problems. And a lot of this is because when your triglycerides are high and it's going through your blood, it's going to be damaging your pancreas. It's very damaging to your pancreas, and it's also just hyper-inflammatory. And these two things are not only going to lead to diabetes, they're going to lead to a lot of disease, and it really is the basis of a lot of disease. But triglycerides being high is really indicative of your eating habits. So triglycerides are a short-term marker for your eating habits in most cases. So if your triglycerides are high, it's very obvious from our standpoint that you have been eating bad recently. As you get your health in line and you eat the right foods, you're going to see these drop really quickly actually. So how do we do it naturally with food and lifestyle? A low glycemic diet is number one. You just can't beat it. A low glycemic diet is going to solve a lot of problems on this board. And what a low glycemic diet is simply making it so anytime you eat carbohydrates, you're eating a slower digesting carbohydrate, or you're avoiding carbohydrates, or if you're going to eat anything high glycemic in the carbohydrate range, you're going to pair it with a fat so it slows down digestion. We want to make sure that we're not spiking our insulin basically ever. Spiking our insulin is going to cause a lot of these issues, and a lot of the reason people have triglyceride issues is because when you have excess nutrients, so if you intake a lot of calories very quickly, or you intake high glycemic foods that are going to go through your system and process very quickly, your body can't handle all those nutrients at once. So all those excess nutrients are going to go to your liver, where it's going to be turned into triglycerides, our fat storage center. And not only is this going to be attached to body fat, but also it's just going to be really, really bad for you. Another thing you can do is you can do a 10-minute walk after every single meal. The studies are very, very clear. If you do a 10-minute walk after every meal, your processing capabilities of nutrients goes up significantly. So not only just for processing the sugar, but processing all of your nutrients. So less of it is left over in a surplus to make its way to your liver to make triglycerides. And one of the biggest ones is just a calorie reduction. Whenever we see high triglycerides, it's very obvious to us that somebody has been overeating calories. If you're in a calorie surplus, triglycerides are infinitely more likely to exist because you have infinitely more nutrients for your body to process. It runs out of storage spaces, and a lot of it makes it to your liver where it turns into triglycerides. If we want to supplement, though, for our triglycerides, we're going to lean into taking berberine as the absolute #1 best option. Berberine acts similar to metformin, and it's just simply going to increase insulin sensitivity, it's going to increase your processing ability, and it's going to make it so you can process anything high glycemic or any of the food just better in general. And we're also going to put fish oil in. Fish oil is really good because it buffers digestion, but it's also going to improve HDL cholesterol, which will help triglycerides. It's also just going to help with your body's ability to process that inflammation. So taking berberine and fish oil are honestly some of my favorite ways to solve this issue. Next on the list, we have your hemoglobin A1C. Similar to triglycerides, hemoglobin A1C has a lot to do with blood sugar. So A1C is going to be a test that shows basically a long-term view of your blood sugar. So hemoglobin A1C is going to show you how your blood sugar has been relatively over the last 3 months. And this is just because hemoglobin in our body, which is the carriers of oxygen in our blood, are going to have sugar attached to them, and that is what A1C tracks. If you have more of your hemoglobin that has sugar attached to it, your A1C will be higher. And our hemoglobin only survives for about 3 months in our body. So if you want to get your A1C down, expect it'll probably take about 3 months to see this marker change, even if you do everything perfect, because you have to get all of that old hemoglobin out of your body and get all the sugar attached to that hemoglobin out of your body. When you have a high A1C, not only is it just going to be indicative of things like diabetes and all of the insulin-resistant problems that we are trying to avoid. Diabetes is the base of almost all of the most serious diseases that you could run into. And also, you're going to increase fat storage. When you have a high A1C, it means you're very insulin-resistant, and it means your body is going to be very good at storing fat, and you're going to be very bad at processing nutrients. And this is also going to lead to more triglycerides. These go hand in hand quite a bit, and they're also some of the most important ones to fix if you want to have a healthy lifestyle and a long life. When we talk about fixing A1C with lifestyle factors, you'll notice they're identical to triglycerides. We're going to go on a low glycemic diet, and we're going to do the 10-minute walks after meals. And that's, once again, just because the things that affect A1C are the same things that affect triglycerides. They're going to be those blood sugar spikes, they're going to be excess nutrients, they're going to be processing things in a way where you're having all of these nutrients hit your liver and be converted into triglycerides or A1C. And if you want to fix the A1C, almost the exact same way, once again, berberine and fish oil are going to be your best solution. Berberine and fish oil are some of my favorite things to see clients take for long-term life expectancy, but also just for quality of life and health. As we move into the next one, HDL cholesterol, this one is so crucial. We see so many people when it comes to cholesterol talking about their LDL cholesterol, talking about their VLDL cholesterol, talking about their ratios, and all sorts of this different language, and you might not know what to do. Cholesterol is a scary thing to hear about nowadays, but the truth of the matter is that HDL is the number you want to pay attention to. HDL stands for high density lipoproteins, and what it is it's your healthy cholesterol. That's what we call it. And really why it's healthy is when you have HDL cholesterol at a higher level, it's going to go in and soften your plaque. Softer plaque moves through your arteries easier, it doesn't break off as much, and when it does break off, it moves through your arteries easier, so you're less likely to have a heart attack, a stroke, any danger. It's also going to be the #1 most important thing about HDL cholesterol is it removes LDL and VLDL cholesterol from your body. These are going to be the bad cholesterols, technically. So if you have too much LDL or too much VLDL and you want to reduce it, one of the best ways is not to focus on the LDL cholesterol, it's to increase your HDL cholesterol, because this is the cleanup crew that goes through, takes that LDL and VLDL, takes it to your liver so it can be processed out of your body. And the big thing is HDL cholesterol has a really big emphasis on reducing inflammation. You're going to see a lot of these buzzwords today through all this, because when it comes to long-term health, reducing inflammation and increasing insulin sensitivity and our processing capabilities are going to be infinitely important for our long-term health. If we want to take our HDL cholesterol up, this is definitely one of the blood markers I really like to hit through food. Extra virgin olive oil is #1. You can't beat it. As far as foods go on the planet, it's the #1 healthiest food, proven, tested a million times over. If you add extra virgin olive oil to your life, you'll increase life expectancy, you'll increase quality of life, you'll lower disease rates. Take it. Put it at least 2 tablespoons in your diet every day minimum. But monounsaturated fats in general, which is what extra virgin olive oil is, these are gonna be the fats that are gonna be the easiest for your body to convert into HDL cholesterol. And it really is where you're gonna see the healthiest cholesterol changes. These are things like avocados, avocado oil, and extra virgin olive oil. Lots of really good sources out there that are really gonna set you up to increase your HDL cholesterol. And then once again, you're gonna see this over and over again, low glycemic diet. If you see it this often, trust me, you need to do it. When it comes to us fixing our clients' health, a low glycemic diet is number one. It really is the first thing we look at and the first thing we do, because you see people lose weight better, you see people's blood work get better, you see them get healthier and feel better, and a million other things. Low glycemic diets. But if you wanna fix HDL cholesterol through supplementation, citrus bergamot is an amazing option. Citrus bergamot helps us get LDL cholesterol out of the body, and it also helps us increase HDL cholesterol quickly. This isn't something that everyone should do, but if you find that you have a severely low HDL or a severely high LDL, this can be a really useful tool for basically speeding up the process we're already gonna do with food. And fish oil, once again, this is gonna be on the board a lot. Fish oil is one of the healthiest supplements that everyone should take all the time. We're gonna move into the next lab, which is free testosterone. You might be wondering why it's free testosterone on the board and not total testosterone or any of the other numbers. And that's because free testosterone is the testosterone that matters. Total testosterone, when you talk about your testosterone with people, when you say, I have a 900 testosterone score, I have a 700 or 200, that is your total testosterone. And really, that doesn't have as much effect on your body as you think, though it is important. Because free testosterone is the testosterone that's actually active in your body and doing things. You can have a ton of testosterone, but if you're not freeing it up to utilize it, you'll have all the symptoms of low testosterone either way. So freeing up more testosterone while increasing our general testosterone is going to be a huge impact on people, even for women. Don't just think this is for men. These are super impactful for both genders. But when it comes to why free testosterone is so important, it's because when you have higher free testosterone, you're going to have better vitality. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel good. Your mood's going to be higher. You're going to have much more energy. You're going to recover. Recovery really means, in our case, a lot of times, building muscle faster. It's going to mean recovering from the gym faster, being able to train harder. And also, when we come to just general lifestyle factors, if your free testosterone's higher, it's the number one thing that's going to increase your libido. It's the number one thing that's going to be a noticeable differential hormone-wise to your day-to-day life and the quality of how you feel. If you want to fix your free testosterone through food and activity, there's tons of ways. You can throw steak, eggs, and cruciferous vegetables in, and that's just because these are going to have a lot of specific nutrients in them that you'll see in these supplements over here that are going to have the most effect on creating more total testosterone and in freeing up testosterone. And some of these foods are also going to have anti-SHBG properties, which we're going to talk about. You can also throw weightlifting in. Weightlifting will have both an impact on total testosterone and on free testosterone. And if you're really trying to get testosterone up, high intensity interval training can be super, super effective. There's things like sprints. They have been proven time and time again to be massively impactful on hormone production. And when we talk about that SHBG, that's a word I threw out there. SHBG stands for sex hormone binding globulin. But what it really is it's a glue-like substance that's going to bind up your sex hormone, in this case testosterone, and not allow it to free up. If your SHBG is high, you're going to end up converting a lot more to estrogen, you're going to have a lot less free testosterone, and you're just not going to have the best situation. SHBG climbs from bad eating habits, from inactivity, from lack of movement. So just by being healthier and following a lot of these rules, it'll come down. But if we want to supplement to increase total testosterone, increase free testosterone, and lower that SHBG, the first thing we're going to need to put in our diet is going to be zinc and magnesium. These two are crucial. Every client, every person we work with, almost everybody we talk to can utilize zinc and magnesium in a way which can be severely impactful in their life. I'd say 20 to 30 milligrams of zinc and 350 to 400 milligrams of magnesium every day. And when it comes to that free testosterone aspect, boron is going to be crucial. So what boron does is it goes in your body and it reduces SHBG. So even if your total testosterone doesn't climb, if you can get that SHBG down, you'll have more free testosterone and you'll have massive impact in the way you feel and those testosterone-like symptoms that you're looking for. So make sure you're taking your zinc, your magnesium, and your boron, and you'll have a great time. And the boron is somewhere between 3 and 6 milligrams. You do need a cycle boron, so make sure if you're taking it months on end that you take a few weeks off here and there throughout the year. The next lab marker is going to be TSH. This is going to be thyroid stimulating hormone. So what TSH is it is a hormone that's produced by our pituitary gland, and it goes to your actual thyroid, and it tells your thyroid to produce more T4. T4 is going to then be converted into T3, which is the active form of thyroid in our body. So if you have less TSH being produced, like I said, you're not going to be producing as much T4. But the big thing with TSH you really want to pay attention to is it's an inverse number. So if you see your TSH climbing, that actually means your thyroid is running slower, because it means your body's producing excess TSH to make up for the lack of thyroid in your body. So if you want to have a perfect TSH score, you want to get this somewhere between a 0.8 and a 1.2. If you're above a 2, that's not a good sign. It means that you need to work on getting that down. When it comes to TSH and why it's so important, it's just because your thyroid in general, a more functioning thyroid is going to be so good for you. You're going to have more energy, you're going to have better body fat regulation, you're going to burn fat faster, you're going to feel better, you're also going to have increased mood and a lowered anxiety, because your thyroid has a lot to do with regulation of your nervous system and parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system states. So if your thyroid is off, expect you might be in fight or flight a lot more. Expect that you're not going to feel good, and expect more than anything that you're just not going to have the energy or that go that you really want. If we want to fix TSH, we actually have a lot of really good natural whole food ways to do it. Brazil nuts are super rich in selenium, among many other things. Brazil nuts are great for you. Seaweed is going to be rich in iodine, which is super crucial. Selenium and iodine are words you're going to hear a lot when we talked about thyroid. You could throw a little bit of iodized salt in there. I'm definitely a sea salt guy, but at times iodized salt can be a great way to get that supplemental iodine in if you need. And breath work and meditation from a lifestyle standpoint. That might sound odd, but once again, TSH has a lot to do with your nervous system. And if your body is in a sympathetic nervous system state, that fight or flight state all the time, you're going to have thyroid dysfunction. And if you can get yourself into a more peaceful, relaxed state, get yourself into a parasympathetic nervous system state more often, you're definitely going to see your TSH functioning better. And lastly, supplementally, it's kind of the same as the food. Selenium, iodine, and this last one, zinc, that you see multiple times on the board, like I said, are going to stand out. You throw these in and immediately your thyroid should be functioning faster and better. And like I said, remember that TSH is an inverse number, so we want to make sure that we see that coming down. We don't want to see it come down too low. If your thyroid is running too fast, that's not going to make you just burn fat way faster. It is going to make you miserable in a whole lot of other ways. And then the last one that I put on the board is vitamin B12. This one is crucial. It's also another one of the simplest ones to solve. B12 is something that rarely is it super, super low, but if it is, you are going to be really, really messed up. And in most cases, improving how high it is going to have a huge impact on you. The other thing here too, just like vitamin D, is that you don't want to see it get too high. If your B12 is too high, it's going to give you a lot of symptoms of having an overactive thyroid. Your heart rate will be higher, you're going to be more anxious, you're not going to feel good. But the reason we want to get that B12 level up is because it'll give you more energy. You're going to have a lot less brain fog, your mood is going to be infinitely better, and once again, B12 is just immediately attached to your nervous system. All B vitamins are. So getting a good B complex or B12 levels up in your body is going to have a severe impact on the quality of your nervous system, which has impact in a million ways we could break down. But if we want to get our B12 levels up naturally, without supplementation, red meat is the best option. You just really can't beat it. Red meat always, eggs being second. Beef liver I have in third, and that's not because it's the third best. It's actually the number one best. It's that I rarely can get people to eat it, and I don't recommend eating it. It's disgusting. But if you want to, it's a good option. And gut health. People don't talk about this enough. If your gut health is off, expect that your ability to absorb certain nutrients is going to be very low. And specifically, vitamin B12 is a very difficult one on our body to process. If you're taking a methylated form, you're going to increase the ability to do that. But in most cases, B12 has to have a lot of other components in the body running right to absorb. So fixing your gut health through proper eating, low glycemic diets, and some of these extra practices is going to be crucial. And lastly, supplementing vitamin B12 is very easy. You want to make sure you're not taking cyanocobalamin. You want to take methylcobalamin. If you're looking at your label and you see cyanocobalamin, that is a very cheap B12 that companies use to put B12 in anything, but it's very low quality. It's actually bad for you. It converts into having the byproduct cyanide in your body. So get a methylcobalamin. It'll be healthier and it will absorb a lot better. And in general, I just like people to take a B complex. A methylated B complex will be much better. But if your B vitamins are insufficient in your body, especially if you're not eating foods like these because of lifestyle choices, you are going to to be feeling that difference. So make sure you're moving these within range. And if I had to give you ideal goals for each one of these numbers, vitamin D, like I said, I like to see somewhere between 60 and 70 in ideal range. Triglycerides, I like to see below 100. In my opinion, anything over 100 is a bad idea. And if you're close to 200 or over it, you should really worry about this. This is long-term damage we're talking about. When I talk to A1C, I like to have people below like a 5.8. Below a 5.5 would be even better. If you're getting above a 6, you're getting into pre-diabetes. If you're getting above a 7, you're really getting into diabetes. Make sure you keep that marker lower. When it comes to HDL cholesterol, for most people, I like to see about 50 to 60. If you can get yourself to at least 50, you're gonna see huge impacts in general health, but also in the quality of your body processing that LDL cholesterol out of your system. The higher, the better in a lot of cases. If you can get it up to that 60 or 70 range, awesome. When it comes to free testosterone, this number I like to see, and different tests are actually going to test this in different ranges. But this is one of the ones that's very easy to give above the reference range if you do it right. If you can get this above your current reference range, you will notice it immediately. TSH, like I said before, we want to get somewhere between a 0.8 and a 1.2. And that's going to put you in a place where your thyroid is functioning super optimally. It's going to help you out in so many ways, but it's not so overactive that you're getting any of those negative symptoms. And B12 is another one. You don't want to see it get too high. I really like to see B12 labs coming back in about that 800 to 1,000 range. If you're getting above 1,000, if you're passing the top of the range, which is usually 1,200, you're really going to put yourself in a place where you're going to start seeing some of those negative overactive thyroid symptoms that you really don't want. So get those in range, follow all these rules. For the most part, make sure you're getting a low glycemic diet in, you're getting your active movement in, eating your extra virgin olive oil and nutrient-dense foods. And if you really want to throw in some of my favorite supplements, always, always, always zinc, magnesium, boron, fish oil, and berberine, vitamin D and K2. And if you want to throw a multivitamin on there, no one's going to complain.